I'm not. I'm not.
The Buffalo Sabres are done, but we do have some NHL playoffs to discuss here today. We're going to start this one off with the Rangers versus the Capitals. The Rangers are taking on the Capitals in this series. It is already over. The Rangers have won it 4-0. What are your guys' thoughts on this series? Alexander Ovechkin had just 5 shots. He didn't record a single point in the 4 contests. What are your guys' thoughts on this game, and do you think the Rangers could be the team to end that President's Trophy curse?
Yeah, I'm not surprised by this at all. I thought that the Capitals were going to get swept by the Rangers. They were the worst team in the playoffs by far. But just because the Rangers swept them, I don't think they break the curse. I think they lose to Carolina in the next round. I just think Carolina is the better coach team and overall just the better team. I think they're deeper, and I think they are more playoff experience than the Rangers, and I think they go on a run, and I definitely think they beat them next round.
Yeah, the New York Rangers obviously beating Washington Capitals 4-0 in the series. And the question that I'm going to pose is this end of an era for Alexander Ovechkin? What I mean is this the last time we maybe see Alex Ovechkin playing in a Stanley Cup playoff game? We saw him once, like you mentioned there, Tommy. He went pointless. That is just something we are not accustomed to with arguably the greatest goal scorer in NHL history. He didn't put up one goal against the Rangers as the Rangers beat the Capitals 4-0.
He only had 5 shots in this entire series, 4 of which came in their Game 3 loss to the Rangers, too. So basically 1 shot in the other 3 contests. Absolutely insane defense from the Rangers in that category. But moving on, we're going to talk about Boston Bruins. The Bruins won 1-3-4. 3 and 2 would go to the Maple Leafs. As the series is currently 3-1. The Bruins are going to be taking on the Maple Leafs again here, I believe, tonight at 7 o'clock they play. So we'll see if the Bruins can close out the series in that one. But basically, my question for you guys here is, what will it take for the Maple Leafs to come back from down 3-1? As we saw the Maple Leafs, not the Maple Leafs, but the Bruins fall after a 3-1 series lead last year against the Florida Panthers. Could we see this happen again, guys?
I think they'd have to get healthy. I think missing William Nylander has really hurt them, especially with how bad Mitch Marner's been playing. He is not having a good series. But overall, I think even if they are healthy, I don't think they come back. I think this is the year. This is the final straw, and I think the Maple Leafs may try and blow it up a little bit. I think they trade one of their big 4. Probably going to be Mitch Marner, as he's the one that's on the end of his deal and still can get good value for him. But I just don't really see a way Toronto coming back, and this is the way they played, especially, what was that, Saturday? They played awful on Saturday. Marner was terrible, and I just don't see it happening.
Obviously, Boston is up 3-1 in this series, and there's questions that Austin Matthews might not even be playing in Game 5. And we know that William Nylander only played his first game of the series just the other night. Mitch Marner has been very inconsistent. And when your top players aren't performing, you're going up against a very disciplined Boston team led by a veteran in Brad Marchand and the goaltending tandem in Allmark and Swayman. It's be really hard to beat a team like that is so experienced in the playoffs, and they've had Toronto's number, for the better part of 10 plus years now. And without your top stars down 3-1, I just don't think Toronto can climb back in this one.
Yeah, another thing of note is that the Boston Bruins have not lost the Toronto Maple Leafs in a playoff series since 1959, as we are a long way away from that, guys. But we're going to move into the next one here. We're going to talk Lightning and Panthers. This series has been incredibly close the entire way, but Florida took the first 3 games, dominating fashion. Tampa Bay keeps their season alive in Game 4, 6-3 victory. What are your guys' thoughts on this series? And I have a question here. If Florida does indeed win the series, what happens with this Tampa Bay team?
I think Tampa's going to – I think even if they lose, I think they're just going to ride it out. Being a Florida team, they don't always have the greatest attendance unless they're really good. So I think their owner's going to recognize that, and they're just going to try and stay as competitive for as long as possible. Because even if they do blow it up, I think that even if they don't blow it up or if they do blow it up, they're going to have a dark period. So they're just going to try and delay the inevitable. But playoff Vasilevsky is back. He has absolutely carried. I think if he hasn't played the way he has, I think Florida has dominate every single game.
Yeah, the Florida Panthers are obviously continuing what they were doing last year in the Stanley Cup in the playoffs, reaching the finals, and they're playing really well against the Tampa Bay Lightning. What I'm going to say for the Tampa Bay Lightning, lose this series, I think they're just going to ride it out. I'm going to have to agree with Alex. It's going to kind of look like the Golden State Warriors, how they won a few championships, had a really good core, but they were going to ride it out. And even there were some dark times like the Warriors, they were drafting inside the top 3, but then they went on to win another chip. I think Tampa's going to try to follow that path because they got some really good players still, but even though they're aging, they're going to try to ride them out here. But Florida's going to end up winning this series, in my opinion.
Game 5 will be tomorrow night, but another game we're going to hop into.
Hurricanes
Hurricanes
and Islanders, a 3-1 series lead, basically similar fashion with the Panthers Lightning series. Panthers were up 3-0, and so was the Hurricanes. Game 4, the Islanders did win in double overtime of all things, so it took 2 overtimes to get the job done. What are you guys' thoughts on this one?
I think Carolina ends up taking this over. I think they beat the Islanders in 5.
Yeah, Carolina is obviously having a very good series so far, and it's going to be hard to beat the Islanders because they are just a tough team. But the Islanders obviously are up the way they are right now, and I think they're going to close it up.
Yeah, and now we're going to head into the Western Conference. We're going to have kind of a little rapid fire here. Vegas and Dallas, a 2-1 series. Tonight will be game 4. What are your guys' thoughts on this one? An upset coming in?
I hope not. I'm going to still go with Dallas in 7. They played amazing. If it wasn't for Logan Thompson, they would have absolutely dominated Game 3 in Vegas. So I think they right the ship, and I think they win this in 7.
Yeah, I'm going to take Vegas. I think Eichel and Thompson have been the 2 best players in this entire series so far, and I think they continue to do so. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if Vegas wrapped this up in 2 games.
All right, then the Jets and Avalanche next.
3-1 series lead for the Avalanche. What are your guys' thoughts on this one?
Avalanche firepower is just too much. I'm going to go Avalanche in 5.
Did you see the goal that Cal McCarr had the other night? That's all I got to say. Give me Colorado.
Yes,
Sir,
sir.
and then we're going to go with the last 2. Canucks leading the series 3-1 after an impressive comeback from Brock Besser. What are your thoughts on this one, guys?
I think Nashville is going to force Game 6, but I think that's all they'll do. Give me Canucks in 6.
This Vancouver team is making a statement. I think they're going to go on a little run here. I got them winning the series in 6.
All right, and then the final series, Oilers and Kings, 3-1 series lead for the Edmonton Oilers right now. Did they close?
Yes, they do. Connor McDavid's all I got to say.
Yeah, Edmonton only had 1 goal yesterday on very limited chances. That's not Edmonton-esque. I think they won this one, wrapping it up in Game 5.
All right, and that'll conclude our NHL playoff segment. We'll be back to talk NBA playoffs with Richie Miller. Thank you guys for tuning in to Buffalo Sports Insider, and stay tuned.
How was school today?
It was good.
Did you play volleyball?
Yes.
How's your serve coming? I think we'll work on it this weekend.
Amy's slumber party is this weekend.
Is your homework done?
No.
That was the deal we made. If you do...
Hi, Lauren. My name is Katie. We're going to take care of you, okay? Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Very right.
You wouldn't do that. So why do you do this? Distracted driving kills an average of 9 people and injures over 1,000 every day in America. Put down your phone. Lives depend on it. Don't drive intoxicated.
Welcome back to
Don't
Buffalo
drive
Sports Insider. Let's
intoxicated.
talk some NBA
sobering
playoffs.
message from
There were
AAA.
4 games
Last
last
night, the first one,
night. First
my
one,
Bucks
my
lost
Bucks
to the
lost to the
Indians. Dame and Giannis are out. For me, that series is
Dame and Giannis really watched for is the Phoenix Suns, who just got swept last night by the Minnesota Timberwolves. A crazy 4th quarter from Anthony Edwards. Their coach even got
injured on a
freak accident where Conley crashed into him. What could you say about this series?
This series was definitely an eye opener for a lot. Put the Timberwolves on notice because a lot of people felt coming in that this was going to be a big sweep for them, but Edwards and his and very unlikely sportsmanship shown by the Suns in the end. If you watch the game, a lot of cheap, dirty fouls. Not even congratulating some of the players.
One of the other series from last night,
Nick Sixers Brunson.
Career high for New York, 47 points along with 10 assists. He was getting MVP chance in Philly. What could you say about this series, Zai?
Of chatter predating the series. The Sixers backup setter Paul Reed said that they wanted the Knicks matchup because he felt that they were the easier team, and the Knicks have shown that that is not the case, and it has essentially been 4 home games The Knicks are dominating them on the boards. They're out physicaling them, and they're just at this point, quite frankly, bullying them. Joel Embiid has had some dirty foul play last night. He hit Jalen Brunson going into the paint with a forearm, and from that moment on, Jalen Brunson just went nuclear. So I see the Knicks finishing this up in New York.
The last series from last night, the Clippers held on to beat the Mavericks and tied the series 2-2 despite a 31-point comeback from Dallas. What could you say about this game, Isaiah?
I mean, playoff P, James Harden coming out with a steady performance. PG finished with 33, 6, and 8. And James Harden finished with 33, 6, and 7. I mean, they won that game despite them having some mishaps and almost fumbling the 31-point lead, like you said. I mean, I have Clippers still winning this series. And post-game interview, Luka came out and said that he feels he's been letting his team and Kyrie down, with Kyrie finishing with 40. And I agree. I feel like Luka hasn't been, yes, he's been the prime playmaker, but I feel like he hasn't been who the world sees him as. I mean, the last 2 games at home, man, I mentioned he's been 17 of 50 from the field and 4 of 23 from the 3. So that's not Luka-like numbers. So I think he's definitely going to have to improve offensively, and then defensively, James Harden has just been getting his way. Finished with 33, like I said. So yeah, Luka's definitely gonna have to put his team on his back if he wants to win this series.
And there are 3 series tonight, starting with Celtics Heat. Celtics are 2-1 in this series. Game 4 is at Miami. What do you think will happen in this game, Isaiah?
I have Celtics winning. I feel like despite the history that Celtics and Miami have, I feel like Eric Spoelstra can't get this series done without Jimmy Butler. I feel like Miami is gonna lose in 5. They got 1, but they did set a record-breaking 3 points made from the field goal, and it was still a close game. So I don't see much.
Another series happening tonight with the chance of ending is Thunder Pelicans. Thunder up 3-0 with the chance to sweep. Zai, what do you think will happen in this game?
I think the Thunder will be finishing this up. They have outclassed the Pelicans, especially without Zion. They've played the opposing big man off the floor, and Valanciunas. He's not fast enough to keep up with, Chet. He's pulling him out of the paint, and he's never been an adept paint protector in the first place, but that's just making it easier for people like, SGA to get to his spots because there's not really much size on him. I mean, they have Herb Jones on him, and he's making it slightly difficult, but SGA is still doing SGA-like things, as well as OKC is making it difficult for Brandon Ingram. They're throwing Lou Dort on him, and he's not been able to get comfortable. So I really feel like OKC is going to finish this one up real soon.
And last game of tonight, LA Denver. Jeremiah, tell me what you think about it.
Well, from my perspective, I do have the Lakers taking this in 7. I say that because you can't doubt the history of LeBron James. We do know how great the Nuggets are and how great they've been playing in this series. The Lakers have had times where they just look like bamboozled, like they don't know what's going on the defensive end. Their coach just looking real shook. But I do trust the Lakers and what they bring to the table, and LeBron and his leadership. So.
All right, that will be a wrap for this segment. Once we return, we will talk about NFL draft.
How was school today?
It was good.
Did you play volleyball?
Yes.
How's your serve coming? I think we'll work on it.
I want to take
Lumber party is this weekend.
Is your homework done?
No.
That was the deal we made. If you do.
Hi, Lauren. My name is Katie. We're gonna take care of you, okay? Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Buffalo Sports Insider. I'll be your host for this segment, followed by Evan Harrington, Isaiah Marquez, and Richie Miller. Now we're going to talk about some draft losers. With the draft all concluded, we got a good idea of who picked what. I'll start with you, Richie. Who's your biggest losers from the draft?
I hate to say it because I'm extremely high on Michael Penix as a player, but the Falcons reaching up for him at 8 when they already gave Kirk Cousins a 4-year, multi-million-dollar deal was just a very questionable move. Followed up by their second-round pick of Rook from Clemson, who I think they definitely reached on, especially with Johnny Newton on the board. It's not to say that I think the Falcons had a necessarily terrible draft. I do think Penix could be a franchise quarterback in Atlanta, but if we're talking about obvious losers, I feel like you have to mention them.
Yeah, I'm gonna start off with the Cowboys. I feel like yes, they did make some additions to that O-line and giving Dak Prescott some more time in the pocket, but the Eagles just got superior in comparison to the Cowboys. I mean, they made multiple trades. I don't think the Cowboys moved the needle at all in the NFC, so I'm gonna have to go with Dallas.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go with the Cleveland Browns, and this is in the version of Deshaun Watson. We finally saw the end of the Deshaun Watson trade from Cleveland, or from the Texans to Cleveland, and Deshaun Watson has only played so many games for Cleveland here, and now we finally get to see a lot of the draft picks in the Texans uniform now from the picks that they got for Deshaun Watson, just some guys 2 years ago in the 2022 first round. 15th overall lineman Kenyon Green was drafted. Will Anderson taken 3rd overall just in last year's draft. Tank Dell taken with the 69th overall pick in last year's draft as well. It's like these are some premier players that the Texans got for Deshaun Watson, while Cleveland is still having questions and concerns with the quarterback that they gave up a ton of draft capital for. And I think it's fair to say now the Texans won this trade, and Cleveland's still having questions with this draft after giving up all their capital for Watson.
Yeah, absolutely. My biggest losers from the draft are actually the Raiders. I do like Brock Bowers. I think he's going to be a star tight end in this league for a long time. But who's going to throw it to him? There were 5 quarterbacks taken in the first round. You have to trade up and get one of those guys. And when it came down to it, Spencer Rattler was a good value pick in the later rounds that they could have taken and hopefully tried to develop, and they let him slip. So as much as I love Brock Bowers, Aiden O'Connell is not going to get the job done or get these guys into the playoffs. I think they failed to make any moves that were meaningful, and they're just in a really tough spot now, especially in a division that has Justin Herbert and Patrick Mahomes. So next question for you guys. Is there any players that you really think lost?
Yeah, I think the one player that potentially lost in this draft was Kirk Cousins. I'm actually going to go away from the draft board. I thought Kirk Cousins lost in this draft. The big reason why is that Michael Penix was taken with the 8th overall pick, and Kirk Cousins may be looking for a wide receiver, another lineman, defensive help to help him get the football back on the offensive side of the ball. And I know the argument with that is that Kirk Cousins, you're getting $100 million guaranteed. Like, you already got guys like Kyle Pitts, Bijan Robinson, Drake London, etc. But again, when you're that type of quarterback, Kirk Cousins, and you're going to a team like Atlanta, and they give you all that money and all that insurance, you just want that extra reinsurance. And I don't think Atlanta did that with their first round draft selection being Michael Penix with the 8th overall pick.
I'm gonna go Malik Neighbors. I feel like the roller coaster that is the New York Giants is that's exactly what it is, a roller coaster. I mean, you were one pick away from being on a team with one of the best quarterbacks in the league in Justin Herbert, and Harbaugh passed on you. He decided to fill the trenches, which is understandable. Malik Neighbors, I feel like in his interviews, wasn't as ecstatic as many thought he should be. And I'm not mad at him. I don't think Daniel Jones is the guy. I don't think DeVito is the guy. I feel like the Giants have to figure out what it is that they're going to do at quarterback, because with a star talent and what Neighbors can be, I feel like you have to get him a quarterback that can put him in position to make big plays.
Even during his presser, didn't Neighbors call Daniel Jones
Daniel Jones, exactly.
Or Daniel Jones or something like that? I don't know.
Yeah, so I will have to go Malik Neighbors in this one.
To me, the player that lost is Jaden Daniels. Look, being a mobile quarterback, Jaden Daniels gets a lot of comparisons. I don't know that the Justin Fields ones is necessarily accurate, but to me, Robert Griffin III is the most accurate. I feel like he's a very dynamic playmaker, and if you put the right pieces around him, he could really thrive in the league. And I don't know that Washington really has those pieces. He notoriously didn't show up to be weighed at the NFL Combine. He's listed at 210. I think he's realistically more like 180, 190. Look, this guy is skinny. He's taken some hits in college, and to go into that Washington O-line is just a terrible situation for the young quarterback.
Yeah, my biggest loser was Brock Bowers. Could not have been drafted into much of a worse situation with no quarterback and really lacking a lot of offensive weapons, especially with Josh Jacobs leaving. So I really think all parties involved in that Raiders pick was a big loss. But that is all the time we have on this segment. We will be right back at Buffalo Sports Insider.
You wouldn't do that. So why do you do this? Distracted driving kills an average of 9 people and injures over 1,000 every day in America. Put down your phone. Lives depend on it. Don't drive intoxicated. Don't drive intoxicated. A sobering message from AAA.
Hello, and welcome back to Buffalo Sports Insider. For this segment, we're going to talk about draft winners, bring a little more positivity if you're just being negative with the draft losers. I'm going to have to start with you, Evan. Who do you think won the most? What team do you think won the most from the draft?
Yeah, one team that I think had a really good draft that isn't getting talked about enough is the Buffalo Bills. And I know that may be the homer pick here as we are a Buffalo-centric show, but really when you take a look at the Buffalo Bills' first 4 picks, they were all neat. You got Keon Coleman, the wide receiver. You got Cole Bishop, the safety. You got Dwayne Carter, the defensive tackle. And then you got Ray Davis, a running back. And I think a backup running back on this team was a need. I say backup, I mean complementary. And what I mean by that is that the Buffalo Bills, within their first 4 picks in the draft, got 4 players that are going to see the field. Keon Coleman, already stated by Brandon Beane, is going to be that X wide receiver. He is going to play that position. He's going to be touted by Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott to be that guy right away. Ray Davis is going to be a complimentary back to James Cook. That is just something that is going to more likely than not take place. We're going to see a guy like Cole Bishop. He is going to be playing as a starter potentially, as a safety here for the Buffalo Bills, obviously replacing the legs of Jordan Poyer and Micah Hyde in that back end. Micah Hyde may come back. There's rumors on that. But at least Jordan Poyer in the sense of now. But I think the Buffalo Bills.
I'm going to have to go with the Pittsburgh Steelers here, man. They got Joey Vaughn and Zach Frazier to upgrade that leaky offensive line from a year ago. On top of that, they got extreme value, in my opinion, for Roman Wilson, who many people thought could be taken as high as 37th overall by the Chargers. Falls to them in the 3rd round. They know how to get those receivers, and I think he'll play a good role for the Deontay Johnson fill. On top of both of those selections, they get a guy like
Casey Wilson in the back end of the 3rd round, the expectation of the
Very good team though here, and I think it's a very good draft.
Yeah, my biggest winner is the Philadelphia Eagles. They had a phenomenal draft. They got arguably 2 of the best 3 DBs out of this draft with consecutive picks, not for the whole draft, but for them. Quinion Mitchell out of Toledo is a perfect fit alongside Darius Slay. And then you got Cooper DeJean that you can use as a Swiss Army knife. I know a lot of people think he might be best suited for safety, but he could also just be a great cornerback. And then you got Dylan McMahon, the center out of North Carolina State in the 6th round, which I thought was one of the best value picks in the draft. And they made a record, I believe it was 8 trades during the draft, tying the Patriots record from 1990. So I think the Philadelphia Eagles had a home run draft, and I really don't know how it could have gone better for them.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go with the LA Chargers. I think getting Joe Alt at pick 5, you now have the best tackle duo in the league. Joe Alt can be an all-pro. Rashawn Slater already is an all-pro. And you know how much Jim Harbaugh loves to run the line and loves a good offensive line. But it's not just that. At pick 34, the Atlanta McConkey, who I think will work great with Justin Herbert. You saw route runners like Keenan Allen put up gaudy numbers with Herbert because especially in that system, there's going to be a lot of running, a lot of short passes, and I think McConkey's going to actually really excel. He's going to be a PPR monster. I think he could easily get 100 catches for many years. And then they get a couple of their Michigan guys that Harbaugh's going to know how to use, like in the 3rd round, Junior Colson, and in the 7th round, Cornelius Johnson, another wide receiver. And then they get a backup running back, Kamani Vidal, who went to Troy, so he's not really known of, but he puts up numbers. He is really good. And then don't forget about Brendan Rice, the Jerry Rice's son. So hopefully there's a little bit of that blood in him, and I think he could be a good receiver too. They really put in a lot of depth. They filled out more defensive players, and I think overall they just did a great job filling in their needs with a lot of stars. But I'm going to ask you guys next, what player do you think won the most from the draft?
Yeah, I think the player that won the most from the draft, and again, I'm going to stay Buffalo-centric here. I think it's Keon Coleman. Keon Coleman coming right into a situation playing with a top 3 quarterback in the National Football League, Josh Allen. I don't think it gets much better than that. You're coming into a situation where you're going to be able to be that alpha X wide receiver on the outside right away. And it's not like you're going to a team with another rookie quarterback. You're not going to a team that's on a quarterback in year 2 or year 3 still developing. You're going to a team with a quarterback that's been an all-pro, that's been in the MVP conversation, that's been at the AFC Championship, that has broken multiple records year after year after year. That's your quarterback. Obviously, Keon Coleman's going to have to adjust to the NFL level, but I think it's going to be much easier with Josh Allen at the helm there. And again, if you're Keon Coleman, you've already seen the pressers and the interviews with him. He seems to be fitting in with Buffalo right away, and I think it's only can continue to do so with Josh.
I'm going to lean on the defensive side here. I'm going to go Quinyon Mitchell, cornerback who's drafted by the Philadelphia Eagles. A lot like what Joe said, he's going to be a complementary piece to Darius Slay in the secondary. And having him as the number 2 cornerback on your team when a lot of people view him as a potential number 1 candidate on any team, really, I feel like is a perfect role for a DB in his first year. It lets him get to that learning curve, just kind of like pick up the pace against these lackluster receivers at most times. I feel like he can keep up with any receiver at this level, especially even a number 2 receiver versus a number 1. So I think he was drafted into the perfect scenario, especially at a position that really needs a little bit of time to develop.
Yeah, and I'm going to have to go with Terrion Arnold going to the Lions. I understand he slipped a lot in terms of where people thought he originally could end up, but the Lions is such a great situation to be in. They're behind one of the best defensive coordinators in the NFL, in my opinion, Aaron Glenn, and they're a contender. So he went from possibly being in a bad situation where he's forced to be the number 1 right away to going a little later, but going to a team that's ready to win now. So I don't think there's too many better spots that he could have ended up in this draft.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go with J.J. McCarthy, the quarterback from Michigan. He's going into probably one of the best spots a rookie quarterback has gone into in a while. I mean, look at it. You got the best receiver in football, Justin Jefferson, top 5 tight end, TJ Hawkinson, receiver last year, and Jordan Addison, who was a rookie, almost put up 1,000 yards. Even that was after Kirk Cousins got injured and they had terrible quarterback play. You got Kevin O'Connell, who is a great offensive mind. Aaron Jones, who's a great running back. Ty Chandler, who played pretty good last year. He can be a good backup to Aaron Jones. And they have some good offensive linemen like Christian Darrisaw. I really think that he could go in and he could develop and he could be the Kirk Cousins that they just let walk, obviously much younger and much cheaper. And I think there's not really much of a better situation a quarterback could have gone into. But that's it for the show today. Make sure you check out our social medias on Instagram, Twitter, or X, Facebook, at Buffalo Sports Insider. And don't forget to go on our website, Buffalo Sports Insider, for more sports stories. See you guys next time.